You know what's strange? We talk endlessly about anxiety, about phobias, about panic attacks, like they only happen when something is actually wrong. But there's this specific reaction that millions of people have every single day. In grocery stores, in train stations, at concerts, and almost nobody explains why it happens. Your chest tightens, your skin feels too tight, you just want to leave, even though nothing dangerous is actually happening around you. And here's what nobody tells you. This reaction is not random, and it is not weakness. It is one of the most misunderstood patterns in human psychology. Stay until the very end, because the last sign is going to explain something about yourself you've probably never had language for. So before we even start, ask yourself honestly, why does your body react like this is dangerous when your mind knows it isn't? Save this video, because you are going to need it the next time you're standing in a crowded place wondering what's wrong with you. Have you ever wondered why a packed room can feel more exhausting than an entire day of hard physical work? The first sign is simple, but it runs deeper than most people realize. Picture this. You walk into a busy shopping mall on a Saturday afternoon. Within minutes, your eyes are darting from face to face. Your ears are trying to separate 100 different conversations at once, and your brain feels like it's running 10 browser tabs that won't close. Psychologist Elaine Aron, who spent decades researching what she calls sensory processing sensitivity, found that roughly 1 in 5 people process sensory information far more deeply than everyone else around them. That means a crowd isn't just loud to you, it's actually more information, arriving faster than your nervous system was built to comfortably handle. So when you feel overwhelmed in a crowd, ask yourself, is something actually wrong, or is your brain simply working harder than everyone else's in that exact same room? The second sign shows up as a physical countdown clock you didn't know you had. You can enjoy a crowded place for a while, but there's always a moment where something quietly flips, and suddenly you need to leave immediately. It's not gradual, it's like a switch. Have you ever wondered why other people seem to last for hours at the same event while you're mentally packing your bags after 40 minutes? Nervous system researchers describe this as reaching your window of tolerance, the point where your body's stress response system shifts from managing input to actively defending against it. Once you cross that line, calm logic doesn't work anymore because you're no longer thinking your way through the moment. Your body already decided for you. The third sign is one most people never say out loud because it sounds irrational. You can look around a packed room and feel completely alone, even surrounded by more people than you'll see all week. Isn't that strange? That being physically closer to more humans can make you feel more isolated, not less? Social psychologists have studied this exact contradiction, and they found that connection isn't about proximity, it's about depth. Your nervous system isn't calmed by numbers of people nearby. It's calmed by feeling truly seen by even just one of them. So ask yourself, when you're in a crowd and feeling that ache of loneliness, are you actually craving fewer people, or are you craving one real conversation instead of 100 shallow ones? The fourth sign is exhausting, precisely because it's invisible to everyone else. You can walk out of a crowded event looking completely fine, laughing even, while internally, you feel like you just finished a marathon. Why does nobody else seem to notice how much energy that just cost you? This comes down to something researchers call cognitive load, the mental effort required to filter, prioritize, and respond to stimulation. In a crowd, your brain is constantly making tiny decisions: who to make eye contact with, how loud to speak, which direction to walk, hundreds of times per minute, and each one quietly drains your battery, even when you're standing perfectly still. The fifth sign might be the one that surprises you the most because it feels backwards. Sometimes you don't just want to leave a crowd. You want to disappear from it entirely, to become invisible, to stop being perceived. Is that really just introversion, or is it something else? Introversion researcher Susan Cain has pointed out that this isn't necessarily about disliking people at all. It's about overstimulation specifically. The sense that too many eyes, too many voices, too many demands for a reaction are hitting you all at the same time. So next time you feel that pull to vanish into a corner, ask yourself, do I actually dislike these people? Or do I simply need my nervous system to stop processing all of them at once? The sixth sign goes back further than most people expect, sometimes all the way to childhood. Picture this. You're a child at a large family gathering, and the noise, the sudden hugs from relatives you barely know, the unpredictability of who might approach you next, feels like too much. while every adult around you insists you should simply be having fun. Did anyone ever actually ask why the noise bothered you? Or were you just told you were being too sensitive? Children who are highly sensory sensitive often learn early that their discomfort in crowded, chaotic environments isn't taken seriously, which teaches them to mask the reaction instead of understanding it. Ask yourself, growing up, did you ever learn to just push through the discomfort quietly because nobody around you validated that it was real?
The seventh sign is the one most people rarely admit, even to themselves. You've started quietly avoiding events, not because you don't want to see people, but because you're tired of managing the aftermath, the exhaustion, the overstimulation hangover that follows. Have you noticed yourself making excuses to skip things you actually want to attend? This is where crowd aversion can start to resemble avoidance patterns seen in agoraphobia research. Not a fear of the place itself, but a fear of the physical and emotional cost that place demands from you afterward. So ask yourself honestly, are you avoiding the crowd? Or are you avoiding how depleted you know you'll feel for the rest of the day? The eighth sign is the loneliest one of all, because it turns a coping mechanism into a lifestyle. You've quietly built an entire life around avoiding crowds, smaller friend groups, quieter restaurants, staying home instead of the party. And most people around you have simply stopped noticing it as a pattern at all. Why does everyone else assume that's just who you are, instead of recognizing it as a nervous system managing itself the only way it knows how? Here's exactly how this works underneath everything else. Your avoidance isn't a personality flaw. It's a survival strategy that actually works, which is exactly why you keep using it. Here's who you actually are. You are not antisocial, and you are not overreacting. You are someone whose nervous system takes in the world with more depth and more intensity than most people around you ever will. That depth was never a flaw to fix. It was a different kind of wiring, built to notice details, emotions, and undercurrents that most crowds move right past without ever seeing. You didn't choose to feel a packed room more intensely than everyone else, but you can choose what you do with that awareness now. So here's the only question that actually matters. What would happen if just once you stopped apologizing for needing quiet and let it be exactly as valid as anyone else's need for noise? If this explains something you felt your whole life but never had words for, comment which sign hit closest to home. And subscribe, because we're just getting started.